The sky over New Houston Base was dark purple. Stars blinked slowly. Ships moved in and out of the hangar fields like fish in a wide ocean. Cadet Ellie Granger stood at the edge of the landing deck. Her uniform was clean, boots tight, but her hands were shaking. She hid them in her pockets. She looked up as the massive silver cruiser floated above her. The name of the ship, Silver Spire, was written in long lines across its belly. It was not just any ship. This one was going to the Hades' drift. Most called it a suicide mission. No one from Earth had ever been on it before. Ellie had always wanted to see the stars. Her brother Daniel used to say she had stardust in her blood. But he had died 3 years ago in a mining accident off Titan. Since then, she had pushed harder, trained longer, studied more. Now here she was. The officer on the platform looked at her file. He raised his brow. Cadet Ellie Granger, Earth origin. Physical stats average. Combat skills above average. Technical skills high. He paused. Survival odds, 2%. The silence stayed in the air. Other cadets around her shifted. Some looked at her with pity, others with confusion. Ellie only blinked. 2%, the officer said again, waiting for a reaction. Ellie tilted her head and said, "Then what do I do with the other 98% of me?" A few gasps. A laugh from somewhere in the back. The officer frowned, but said nothing more. He handed her a small silver chip. "You're in. Report to Base 6. She nodded, then turned and walked across the deck. The boots of other cadets echoed beside her. Some came from planets she had only read about, tall blue figures from Siloth Prime, short and round ones from Krex. There was even a thin lizard-like one with yellow eyes. No one spoke to her. At Base 6, Ellie met her assigned team. 6 members, all aliens, all watching her. The leader was Thal, a Rigern. He was tall, with stone-colored skin and small red eyes. "You are the human," he said. "Yes," Ellie replied. "You will stay out of the way. Do not get us killed." Ellie nodded. "Understood." Another crew member snorted. It was the Zaloth tactician. She had dark green skin and thin tendrils instead of hair. "They send a human child with us. Why not a dog?" "At least that can bark a warning." Ellie didn't respond. She just checked her gear. The Silver Spire left orbit 3 hours later. Inside, the air was cold. Lights dim. Everyone had their roles. Ellie was sent to Engineering Section B. It was dark and smelled like burnt copper. She liked it. There were machines to fix, panels to test. But she worked alone. Late on the second day, a red light flashed across the ceiling. Emergency power leak. Sector B. Ellie ran. She traced the leak to a faulty converter near the fuel cells. She shouted into the engineering. "I found the leak. I'm fixing it." "Get out of there," someone replied. "That sector could blow." "No time," Ellie said. Her fingers worked fast. She pulled a metal clamp from her belt, twisted wires together, and patched the converter with a thermal strip. The light turned green. The hum of power came back. The voice on the COM was quiet. Then someone said, "Sector be stable. Leak sealed." Thal met her in the hallway later. He looked at her for a long time. "You risked your life." Ellie nodded. "We all would have died." He said nothing more but walked away slower than before. That night, Ellie sat in her small bunk. Her hands still smelled like burnt metal. She stared at the small picture of her brother taped to the wall. He was smiling in it, boy with stardust dreams. She whispered, "Still here, Danny? Still standing?" Stayed the ship. The stars kept shining. Far ahead, Hades' drift waited, but Ellie didn't think about the odds. She thought about the work, the mission. The crew who still didn't trust her, the other 98% of herself no one saw yet. The ship moved deeper into space. Days turned into weeks. Most of the crew still kept their distance from Ellie. She did not mind. She spent her time in engineering, fixing systems, learning the ship. The machines did not judge her. One morning, the alarm buzzed through the halls. All crew were called to the command deck. Lee arrived last. The captain, a tall insectoid named Varric, showed a star chart on the large screen. "We are entering the edge of Hades' drift." Screen showed a wide cloud of dark energy and broken ship parts. It looked like a storm trapped in space. This area holds old wrecks from the War of Silence, Varric said. Your mission is to enter the drift, locate a lost data vault, and return alive. The word alive echoed in Ellie's head. Thal looked at her. Try not to die first, human. Ellie said nothing. The Silver Spire entered the Hades drift 2 hours later. Lights dimmed. Ship shook. Gravity pulled in strange directions. Ellie felt her feet lift from the floor for a second. Stabilizers failing, someone shouted. Ellie ran to engineering. She grabbed onto a metal rail and scanned the readings. The ship's left wing was under pressure. Shut down power to the outer fins, she told the system. The ship slowed. The pressure dropped. Stabilizers came back online. Good work, a voice said. It was Thal. He had come down to see what was happening. He had kept us steady. Ellie only nodded and returned to her console. Later, the crew found a large field of floating wreckage. Old ships, torn open. Ghost lights blinked from inside them. This is where the vault should be, said the Zalith tactician. They left the main ship in a smaller scout vessel. Ellie was chosen to go with the team. No one said why, but she knew they still didn't trust her alone. The scout ship flew between broken engines and frozen holes. It was quiet. Ellie stared out the window. A large piece of wreckage floated by. It looked like a hand reaching through space. Inside the wreck, the walls were cracked. Shadows moved. They stepped into a wide chamber. The vault is behind that door, said Thal. Before they could move closer, the lights turned red. A sound like metal grinding echoed through the chamber. Defense drones, someone shouted. Fast small machines dropped from the ceiling. They fired thin red beams. One of the crew was hit and fell. Ellie jumped behind a crate. Her heart pounded. She saw a broken power line hanging. She had an idea. Cover me, she said. Ow. No one replied, but she ran anyway. She grabbed the cable and jammed it into the metal floor. Sparks flew. The floor lit up with a blue glow. The drones paused, confused. Thal used the moment to shoot 2 of them. The rest were destroyed in seconds. Smoke filled the air. Ellie sat on the floor, breathing hard. Thal came over. You stopped them? Ellie nodded. Electric pulse. Drones were linked through the floor. The others stared at her. One crew member said, She thinks like a Riggern. They opened the vault door. Inside was a glowing box. The Concorde's lost data vault. It was larger than they thought. We have to bring this back, Thal said. The Zalith spoke. Let the human carry it. She seems eager to prove something. Ellie walked forward, lifted the vault. It was heavy. She held it close. On the way back, the ship shook again. Something had followed them. Void parasites, someone shouted. Strange black creatures with long legs crawled onto the ship's side. Ellie dropped the vault, grabbed a torch, and burned one through the wall. Get inside, Thal shouted. She picked up the vault and ran. Parasite leaped. She rolled, hit the door, and fell into the scout ship. The door closed behind her. The crew stared at her, shocked. She was bleeding but still held the vault. No one spoke. Back on the Silver Spire, the vault was secured. Ellie sat alone in the medbay. Her hand was bandaged, her suit torn. Thal came in. You did more than survive today. Ellie smiled a little. I'm just getting started. Outside, Hades' drift grew darker. The mission was not over. The real danger was still ahead. The return trip through Hades' drift was quiet. Too quiet. Ellie felt it in her bones. The Silver Spire moved slow, engines low to avoid waking anything else. In the control room, the vault sat locked in a clear case. Lights blinked softly on its surface. Thal stood near it with arms crossed. Ellie entered, her steps soft. We should reach safe space in 10 hours, said Varric. Thal looked at Ellie. Get some rest. You've done enough. Ellie nodded but did not leave. Something inside her felt wrong, like a cold hand on the back of her neck. That night she couldn't sleep. Sat in the engineering bay, staring at a small screen showing the vault's data flow. A sharp beep came from the scanner, then silence, then again. That's not normal, she whispered. She tapped a few keys. The screen showed a signal, weak, hidden, not from their ship. Someone is watching, she said. She ran to the bridge. We're being tracked. There's a shadow signal hidden near the vault. Varric checked the controls. His eyes narrowed. Confirmed. A cloaked ship nearby. Its old tech. Pre-Concord. The ship shook. Alarms rang. They were not alone. A voice came through the comms. It was broken, like metal scraping. Turn what is not yours. Who are you? Varric asked. No answer. Just static. Then weapons fire. The ship was hit. Lights went out. Ellie grabbed the nearest rail. Shields down, someone shouted. Thal gave orders fast. All hands defend. Protect the vault. The attackers boarded. Black armor. No flags. They moved like shadows. Ellie ducked behind a crate as one fired. She crawled through smoke to the vault room. One of the attackers was already there. His hand was on the case. Ellie grabbed a rod and hit him in the back. He turned and swung. She rolled under a table. She saw wires near the vault. She yanked one, and sparks flew. The case released a shock. The attacker screamed and fell. Thal and two others entered. They secured the room. Ellie's hands shook, but she stood. They knew exactly where to look, she said. Thal nodded. This was no random attack. The crew pushed back the rest of the invaders. Some were lost. Ellie sat in the medbay again, small burns on her arms. Varric came in. You found the signal. You saved the vault again. I want to know why it matters so much, she said. He looked at her a long time, then said, You earned that right. Later in the command room, Varric opened the vault. Soft blue light filled the space. Inside were old files, not just maps. Not weapons, but secrets. Hidden history. This show's first contact between Earth and the Concord was not peaceful, he said. The Concord erased the war records, made it look like we were always allies. Lee felt a wave of heat. So Earth was attacked? Not just attacked. It fought back hard. Too hard. The Concord feared your kind. Duh. So they changed the story. Ellie stepped back. Why give this mission to a human then? Thal spoke. Because the Concord never believed you'd survive. They wanted the mission to fail. She laughed once. Then I guess I ruined their plan. They looked at her. She looked calm, but her heart was heavy. Not just because of the lie, but because she had always believed in something better. Now the truth was in her hands. Thal put a hand on her shoulder. We can still do the right thing. She nodded. And let's show them the other 98%. The Silver Spire turned. The stars ahead were cold and silent, but Ellie felt stronger than ever. The mission had changed. So had she. The Silver Spire moved slowly through the last part of the Hades drift. The stars outside looked strange. They stretched and broken. Time still moved oddly. Some crews said they felt older. Others said they had strange dreams. Ellie felt tired but stayed focused. The memory core was kept in a locked room. No one touched it. But everyone felt its weight. It was like a ghost on the ship. Quiet but always there. One morning, the ship lights turned red. Alarms rang. Lee jumped from her bunk. The speaker called for all crew to report to the command deck. She ran down the halls. The floor shook under her feet. When she reached the deck, the screen showed a dark shape ahead. Another ship, Varric said, but this one is alive. The shape moved. It was not made of metal. Looked like black glass, smooth and long. It had no windows, no engines. It's not Concord, Thal said. It's not anything I've seen. Ellie looked closer. It's following us. A strange ship moved with them. Every turn, every stop. It stayed close, but did not attack. The crew grew quiet. No one could explain it. We must leave now, said the Zalith tactician. Use the last of the fuel and jump out. The jump system is still weak, said one engineer. If we jump too early, we could be torn apart. Ellie spoke. We need time. Let me reroute power through the vault core. It can give the engines one clean boost. Do you want to use the memory core again? Thal asked. We don't have a choice. They gave her the time. Ellie went down to the vault. The room felt colder than before. The black sphere pulsed faintly, as if it was breathing. She connected wires, rerouted power, and locked the system. The engine lights turned green, ready for jump. Back on the command deck, the strange ship moved closer. It opened a wide mouth of black light. From it came a single signal. Give us the memory. The voice was not human. It It was not like any alien voice either. It was inside their minds, cold and slow. They want the core, Thal said. We can't give it, Ellie said. We don't know what's inside, but it scared them. That means it matters. The crew looked at each other. No one wanted to fight. No one wanted to run blind either. Get ready to jump, Varric ordered. Ellie stayed by the engine room. Her hand hovered over the switch. The strange ship was just behind them now. Give us the memory, or be erased, the voice said again. Now Varric called. Ellie flipped the switch. The ship roared. Light filled the halls. Jump drive pulled them hard. The strange ship let out a long cry, then vanished in the flash. Silence. The stars outside were calm again. Real. The Hades drift was gone. Everyone exhaled at once. They were back in known space. Ellie returned to the deck. Her hands were burned. Her suit was dirty. But she smiled. You saved us again, Thal said. No, she replied. We all made it. That's what matters. Varric turned to her. You'll report to the Concord High Council. The memory core must be studied. You'll speak for this mission. Ellie blinked. You faced the drift. You faced them. You earned it. Even the Zalith gave a small bow. Ellie looked out at the stars. Her first mission had almost killed her, but it had shown her more than she ever expected. That night, she sat alone again in engineering. The hum of the ship felt like music now. She pulled out the photo of her brother. She placed it on the console. We did it, Danny. Still here. Still standing. The stars blinked outside, quiet but full of secrets. And Ellie knew this was not the end. Not for her. Not for Earth. Not for the other 98% waiting to be seen. The Silver Spire returned to Concord space. The stars were steady now. The ship moved past quiet stations and patrol drones. Everyone on board felt the change. They were no longer in danger, but they were not the same people who had left. Ellie stood at the main window, watching the lights pass. A message blinked on the screen. A call from the Concord High Council. She was ordered to report at once, alone. Thal walked beside her to the dock. You know they may not believe you. I know, she said. But I'm not going there to make them believe. I'm going to tell the truth. She took the small shuttle down to the surface of the Concord station. It was a tall tower, shining like silver ice. Guards met her and led her into the chamber. 12 council members sat in a circle. One of them, a human elder named Clara Yates, leaned forward. Cadet Ellie Granger, you are here to report on Operation Hades Drift. The council has reviewed your logs. We have questions. Ellie stood tall. I will answer them. You say the ship entered a time pocket? Yes. We felt time shift. Some parts of the ship aged faster, others slowed. You found the lost vault. We did, and we brought it back. And the memory core? Ellie nodded. It shows a hidden part of the war, and something more. A threat we never knew. The council whispered among themselves. You claim a non-registered vessel followed you. It asked for the memory core. It spoke inside our minds. You chose to keep the core instead of giving it up? Ellie took a breath. I did. The room went quiet. Clara Yates looked at the others. You were given 2% survival odds. Why did you go? Ellie looked at her hands, then raised her eyes. Because someone had to. Because fear is not a reason to stop. And because the other 98% of me is not numbers, it is will. It is choice. Silence. Then Clara nodded. Leave us. Ellie turned and walked out. She waited in the hall. Minutes passed. Then an officer came. They want to see you again. She went back in. This time the tone had changed. You are no longer a cadet, Clara said. You are now Officer Granger of the Concord Joint Command. Ellie's mouth opened slightly, and she closed it and nodded. You will help lead the study of the memory core. You will also prepare for new contact missions. There are others out there. We need people like you. Yes, ma'am. She returned to the Silver Spire the next day. The crew greeted her with short nods and quiet respect. Thal clapped her on the back. Officer Granger has a good sound. The Zalith tactician looked at her and said, You earned it. Ellie smiled. They stood together in the command deck. The ship was being prepared for a new mission. The stars outside were endless. She thought of her brother again, thought of the words he used to say. You were born to fly, Ellie. Now she believed it. Her first mission had started with doubt and low odds. It ended with trust and new purpose. The memory core was locked deep in the Concord labs now, but Ellie knew it would open more doors. Some would lead to danger, some to truth, maybe even both. And she would be ready. As the ship lifted again, Ellie looked out the window one last time. The stars were calling. This time they were listening back.